Oklahoma's task is twofold: beat Georgia, r.escue the Big 12, winless in the playoff era. Los Angeles, when the Rose Bowl kicks off Monday afternoon, it will be just the 10th game in the short history of the college football playoff. Only 4 years in, we already have seen a number 4 seed win the whole thing, a team that didn't win its division get in over the champion of that league, and, this season, 2 teams making the field from the same conference. As the playoffs executive director Bill Hancock likes to say, everything that could possibly happen in this format eventually will happen at some point. But here's one important thing that hasn't happened: the Big 12 is still yet to win a playoff game. In fact, it's the only Power 5 league still sitting on 0. Which is why the burden for number 2 Oklahoma this week isn't just about trying to match up with Georgia, it's about rescuing some respect for a league whose reputation has undeniably taken a beating during the playoff era. More, confidence never wanes for Georgia freshman QB Jake Fromm. Woken column, college football's sleeping giant, Georgia, is wide awake. More, Bob Stoops now plays role of biggest Oklahoma fan. A lot of people always say our league isn't as great, maybe because of the teams, maybe because they feel like we're not physical enough, Oklahoma safety Stephen Parker said. That's always been the talk. As a player in the Big 12, we just have to do everything better. We have to do everything above expectations, more than other leagues it feels like. The easy out for Oklahoma here would be sloughing off the Big 12 talk. This game is about the Sooners versus Georgia, right? And hasn't Oklahoma sort of transcended the reputation of its league anyway by beating the likes of Ohio State, Auburn and Alabama in recent years? That's all true. But in some ways, the Big 12 has spent the better part of the playoff era reeling from what happened in 2014 when TCU and Baylor got snubbed in favor of Ohio State, a decision that was really as much a referendum on the league's wide-open style of play as it was the vaunted 13th data point the committee cited. Let's face it, even as the Big 12 has responded by adding a conference championship game and agonizing over expansion in 2016, which never happened, it really comes down to the ugly aesthetics of those Tecmo Bowl-style scores scrolling across the ticker every Saturday. Old-school football people, and there are plenty of those in the committee room, like 24-20 better than 62-52, which was the exact score Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State by this season. After that game, the country, and the committee, to a degree, didn't see a 10-point win on the road against a top 20 team. It saw a bunch of missed tackles and blown coverages, which doesn't look much like championship football to anyone who grew up on Bear Bryant and Woody Hayes. Winning is the ultimate goal, Oklahoma defensive coordinator Mike Stoops said. How you present yourself, too, as a separate entity is also important if you want long-term results, and that's what we're after. There's some statistics that will bear out who we play and who other teams play, where they're ranked offensively. You can do the research. If a team plays 5,100 ranked offenses, and we play 125, what's going to happen? We may hold them 200 yards under their average, and it's still 400 yards. That's what I look at. If we give up 380 and our team had 580, we ain't losing many games. But as with most things now in college football, nothing matters until it's been proved in the playoff. And until further notice, the Big 12's record there says it is still the Power 5 league with the highest bar to clear. No matter how much Oklahoma can point to past victories against SEC teams or even Ohio State this season as evidence that its style translates outside the Big 12, the Sooners still hear the accusation daily on social media and on television that they play what amounts to flag football. I'm definitely tired of it, defensive end Ogbonnia Okoronkwo said. I don't know where that narrative came from that we don't play defense in the Big 12. The offenses we go against do a lot of different things and stretch you in different ways. We've done it, against SEC teams, time and time again. I don't know why it's still a topic of conversation that we're not physical enough because we've done it countless times. That's the nature of the beast. Where it comes from is no mystery. Since the playoff began, the Big 12 has been left out 2 of the 4 years. In its only previous appearance, In 2015, Oklahoma got outclassed by Clemson in the second half and gave up 530 total yards in a 37-17 loss. One game isn't a big enough sample size to draw long-term conclusions, but for now that's all we have as a barometer. And if Oklahoma suffers the same fate this year against Georgia, it undoubtedly will reverberate. You can explain all you want about how tough it is to scheme week after week against offenses in the Big 12 that spread the field in a variety of ways, and you can point all you want back to games against SEC teams a few years back when the stakes weren't as high, but college football fans and playoff committee members are human. There's a natural bias against the Big 12's style, and the league's performance on the biggest stage has confirmed it time and again. "We're over that," Stoops said. "We've proven our point." How many times do you have to prove it? One more time, actually. Because until someone steps up and wins a playoff game, the Big 12's style of football is going to drive the narrative that the other leagues are inherently more equipped to win national championships. Eventually the Big 12 will break through and quiet the noise. But Monday against the SEC champion would sure be a good place to start.